What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of SparCenter, man. Last night was an amazing night for boxing. Big ups to everybody who put it together. Big ups to the fighters for making it happen. Epic night. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more lifting today on the vocals because my man was victorious last night in predictions and he paid for it today with the vocal cords. So, yo.
I started from the last telecast on 10, and I never let down from 10. So my nephew's gonna, he's gonna do it.
Yeah, he called it. If you looked at prediction video, he called it. He started off hot, saying that Bud was gonna kick Spence's ass, and it couldn't be further from. No, it couldn't be closer to the truth. You know what I'm saying? Last night was crazy, man. As somebody who clearly was going for Spence. Spence got outclassed on every level there is to get outclassed on, and Bud just showed that where his level is in today's boxing. And to me, after that performance, he's an all-time great.
All-time talent. Again, if you want to say great, you're gonna have to say great in conjunction with the competition.
Yeah, but just based on accomplishments, and that performance last night, you can't. What's the argument for Bud not being an all-time great fighter?
Oh, he is an all-time great fighter already so. in my. But what happens is that when you think about all-time great fighters, you also think about the opposition, right? The problem with people like Bud, and who I think you brought the comparison to what people try to go to because of the fact that it's recency bias. They point to Floyd, and one of my things we didn't touch on it on the telecast, but we touched on it previously where Bud, in my estimation, is not closer to Floyd. He isn't. He is closer to Roy. His body, to me, works the same. It looks to me a lot similar to Roy. And they go about their craft similarly to me in mentality. They get in you when they want to get in you. You don't force them into anything. You can't dictate what they do. They get in you what they want to get it when they want to get in you, and when they do get, I know.
I've been waiting from the first get in you. I wanted to pause it.
And when they start their offense, the opposition looks helpless. He looks ordinary. He looks just overwhelmed and overmatched when Roy and Bud decides to ramp it up. And you could say it like the writing's on the wall. You could say it about every Bud Crawford opponent leading up to this fight. But it's always but he fought this guy at this point. But he fought this guy at this point. I was just telling Unc before we started recording, I'm not putting that car accident into this equation at all because Bud has shown us time and time again that this is who he is and this is what he's capable of. If it's everybody's gonna be an excuse for everybody. This guy is who he is, man, and he's a true. And the day that Spence says he's not retiring after the accident, and what he's doing is he's trying to aim at Bud Crawford. What's the first thing Bud said? I'm not gonna touch you until we are sure that you're all the way back. I'm not fighting the Spence right after the accident. Go fight somebody else. Remember when he said, he's like, yo, I'm not doing it. I don't want nobody to say.
Actually, I don't remember that actually. But.
Yeah, Bud said that. He's not gonna touch you until we're sure that you're the man. Yeah. And you went, you got Danny, you got Ugas, and you look pretty good doing it. You look like Spence doing it.
Yeah. He started off the first round. I had hope in the game plan. As I said in the prediction, I said the hands have to come back and he cannot overextend himself. The first knockdown is him doing exactly what I said he cannot afford to do against Bud Crawford. Overextending himself for a body shot, a jab to the body that he didn't even need to overextend himself for. And the quickness, if you can't get them hands back in time, you can't get your head out of the way in time, Bud is gonna make you pay for it. And the first knockdown was a prime example of what I said he could not afford to do against Bud Crawford. And then to me, we were speaking before we got the camera on, he never seemed to get his legs back under him after that first knockdown. Spence looked like he was on a boat, just drifting. He wasn't stable from that first knockdown. If that's a testament to Bud's power, or whatever it is, or he couldn't deal with the speed, man.
Speed of hands and speed of feet.
Mm-hmm.
When the fight started, the minute the fight started, and I think it was about 30 seconds in, I mentioned, look at how low Spence's right hand is. He's just begging for left hooks all night. And
but that's good. Bud went, and he said it in the post-fight interview too.
On the post-fight,
They came into this fight trying to nullify the jab, and they nullified the jab by Bud starting the fight off southpaw and throwing a hook over everyone at Errol Spence's jabs whenever he got the chance to, and he wasn't missing whatsoever. I don't know.
Those lefts.
It's like Errol realized. All right, when do you realize all right? Or maybe he did realize that he's answering every jab, and that's why he just stopped throwing them, and that's why the output just went.
When Bud switches, nobody jabs. Look at all his fights. When Bud switches, Kell Brook,
he didn't switch. He started off.
But that's what I'm saying. So Spence just happened to be in the bad position of Bud walking into this fight.
Yeah, taking it seriously.
Looking at you like you want to do something.
It felt like Bud, and it makes sense because this is the fight. He came into this fight not playing with anybody. He came to this fight this is not the Bud that Crawford saw in that knockout round. The Bud that Kell Brook and saw. Spence saw that Bud from the first round of this fight.
First round. Let me tell you something.
He wasn't playing with nobody.
If you look at Spence compared to how Bud fought Benavidez, knocking him out in 12 rounds, Bud fighting even Amir Khan,
Gamboa and all
that. Well, this is the thing. The fact that Bud openly admits Gamboa is still his toughest fight. Avanesian, the Green Machine put Bud down just because. I said it the last time. I don't want to say that he wants to get hit. It's just that I just think that his forte is just I don't really think you can beat me.
Not supreme confidence.
I don't think you can beat me. You know what I'm saying?
Supreme confidence. And before this, I guess people were questioning whether the confidence was manufactured, if the confidence was a bit too much because he didn't fight certain people, but that confidence.
Him and Porter were friends, so we know that that's not gonna go. We're not gonna go all out. But he walked in the ring knowing that Spence is that guy. So you're gonna see Bud Crawford from the first bell.
Yeah, man.
And
southpaw.
Give him credit. Once Bud, after four rounds, even before the second knockdown, once Bud realized we're separated now, I can do this to you when I want, I can do anything to you when I want, how I want, Bud pulled back. It looked like Bud was a little more,
He was sparing him.
He was sparing him.
Honestly, and this, again, that fight probably could have been a 3-round fight. Bud could have got that fight finished in the 3rd round if he wanted to. Because the same Spence that he got rid of in the 8th was the same Spence that was ready to get rid of.
I agree.
In the 3rd round.
The only difference was Spence's strategy. He stopped lunging and he just said, "I'll go body to body and go all bolos."
Yeah.
And by that time, Bud was seeing everything coming from the first round. Much less for the late rounds when you're all groggy and, like you said, on waves and stuff like that. It was it was a phenomenal display of boxing. I didn't know Bud's foot was as fleet, even though I know who this guy is, but I'm just talking about in a technically good boxing sense. I know Bud is athletic and I expected the athleticism to take over, but the technical ability and speed of his feet and hands. Wow. We're talking about, again, an all-time great talent. All-time. Phenomenal.
Yeah, and there's no need for a rematch. I don't even understand what the rematch talk is about.
Why they even bring it up? Derek, that's the first thing Derek went to.
I think Spence, being who he is, any boxer, unless you just one of the most honest people in the world, or you scary, you're gonna say you're gonna take the rematch. But there's no need for a rematch. There's nothing that Errol Spence can do to contend with what Terence Crawford is gonna bring to the table. Even it might be even worse at 154, honestly and truly, because it's not like Bud walks around at 130 pounds and he's putting on weight to fight at these weight classes. Bud walks around probably at 160. So him having to lose just 5 pounds to get to 154, whatever the case may be, it's not like it's going to weaken him. I think it'll make him a stronger fighter, and he might be more in his natural state. So I think Errol needs to really go back to the drawing board, figure out what's the next move within that PBC stable or whatever it is.
Touching on that, because we also speak and we have a
like Brian Castano or somebody, because Castano beat him in the amateurs, like that.
But we have a running narrative with our own self when we speak about when a fighter takes his first ass whipping. Mm-hmm. You have a fighter, and I bring up everybody from Tito Trinidad to even Roy to everybody. We know who you're gonna be once you take that first beating.
Who you come back as.
Right, who you come back. Everybody, every fan of Mike Tyson will tell you there was the Mike Tyson before Buster Douglas, there was the Mike Tyson after Buster Douglas. The only two guys, like I said, that I remember that would go balls out was when before they get that beaten and after they got that beaten. 3 actually. Evander Holyfield would go all out. You would almost kill this guy in this fight. He'll come back the next fight and fight just as hard. Evander Holyfield, Arturo Gatti, he actually made his bones being that guy that's going to go all out all the time, whether you beat me or not. And I think Pacquiao, right, that would get a beating and come back and fight just as hard. But not many guys can do this.
I think Errol has for lack of better words, the ignorance or the stubbornness to be that guy. I think he's going to come back. But the thing is, everybody ain't going to be Bud Crawford. So it'll be easier. When you get your ass cracked by the best guy there is out there, I think it's easier for you to come back and still be who you are against lower opposition. If it was just some up and comer that put it on you,
like Joshua,
like how Ruiz put it on Joshua, then
he disappeared.
Your mindset is fried because now you can't even fathom
a higher level guy. You're going to be scared all the time.
I think Errol is stubborn enough, and the fact that it was Bud that showed him up, he could. It's a sense of solace he could have in that, because you lost to the guy that probably do that. You lost to a guy that a lot of people, and we started going into blasphemy about who might have actually. Canelo at 160.
No, I'm saying, but even in history, we started throwing out names that it might seem blasphemous to say, nah, this all-time great that you have as an all-time great, Bud would kick his ass.
We ask you the question.
We're not going to ask that question yet. Let's not ask it yet. Let's not ask it yet. That's a whole show by itself. We didn't want to go too long. But trust me, there are guys in history that you have as some of the main guys.
You're all questioning yourself right now.
And ask yourself, at 135 to 147, who are the guys at 135 to 147?
With that.
And who could beat the Bud that we saw last night?
Yeah.
Not many. But anyway, we'll go with that.
Beautiful night of boxing, man.
Bud proved himself. We spoke about the last telecast about guys separating himself. There was no greater separator than last night.
Yeah.
Right? No greater. Yeah. Listen, all respect to Monster, what he did Tuesday. That was. Yeah. It was.
I'm actually happy. I wasn't expecting what I saw last night, of course, but it kind of quells all the people that wanted to put Monster as the pound for pound number one because of what he did to Fulton. There's no way you could discredit what Bud did to Errol Spence last night. It's two totally different atmospheres, man.
Bud is not just number one right now. Bud is, back in the days, they used to say number one with a bullet. Yeah. Just to show you how far number two is from number one.
Yeah, it shouldn't even have a number two. It should be number one, and then a new A&M should start at like number 5.
Right? And listen, the guy that he did that to last night is a legit top 10 guy, Spence.
Yeah,
he walked in the ring too. Some had him as number 1. I didn't, but he walked in the ring.
I saw Spence on the pound for pound was 4. No, 4.
Last night?
I didn't check the
No, we're talking about us. We're talking about us. We're talking about like for us.
Oh, for us.
He walked in at 2, legit. And I had no problem with him being legit number 2 because you know what? If he won the fight, nobody would be surprised because a lot of people expected it. But even today, after what happened last night, this guy is still a legit top 10. I just wrote down here, let's say Bud, Inoue, Usyk, Mel, Shakur and Haney, we'll put them, together. Bivol and Beterbiev, I'll put them together. And like I said, Jamel. After those names, that's 8 names. Who's better than Spence?
Yeah.
Who's better than Spence after those names? So I won't put him in front of these guys just because of respect, right? Mel, we know Mel gets disrespected all the time, even though he is undisputed. We're gonna touch on that also. But Spence is still a legit top 10 guy, and the separation between those two guys last night was astonishing.
Yeah, it was.
right?
It was miles away. But
Mel, let me ask you a quick question before we jump off. Mel, 154. It's historic what Bud did by being 2 times undisputed, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any trepidation or any question about Bud throwing on 7 more pounds?
I'm going up.
Let's
there.
do a fantasy fight. We know what Mel is gonna do with Canelo. We hope for the best. I'm a Mel fan, but
You know what? Because of Mel's athleticism, him and Crawford will be a better fight than him and Spence. This is just me talking off the top of my head right now.
Yes.
Him and Crawford will be a better fight.
Just on speed.
Yeah, just on because he has speed and athleticism. So he'll be able to contend or put some type of opposition up, foot speed and hand speed in terms of Terrence Crawford.
You're a little stiff.
I think Crawford,
you're a little stiff.
Right, and I think Crawford figures him out some way, somehow.
To outbox him eventually.
Yeah,
I don't think he's gonna stop him.
But it'll be a better showing than ever.
But what I'm saying is, think about what we're looking at. Is 7 pounds that much? Let's just pretend that Mel. Let's pretend like Mel is not fighting Canelo, and this guy is double undisputed as of last night. Is anybody gonna say by either forget Christmas? Let's say forget Christmas, or even a little after Christmas. Let's say he gets another fight in. Let's say a little throwaway fight at 154 and aims at Mel at 154 undisputed. It's not gonna happen. Not at least not soon.
What's the question? Yeah, what's the question?
What do you think we're looking at when we look at a guy that's undisputed 140, undisputed 147, and with Mel an undisputed fight at 154? He wins that fight?
Well, I think he figures it out. I think he figures out a way to beat Jamel.
That's crazy. Think about what you're saying.
Yeah. And then
undisputed
the best
140, undisputed 147, and we have no problem saying if you walk in the ring with the 154 champ today, you're gonna be favored to beat this guy.
Yeah, what they say, speed kills and skills pay the bills.
Crazy. That is crazy. Yeah. This Bud Crawford is a different type of cat, man.
And I think, and I said it last night after the fight, I hope Bud, whether he has to do it through signing to PBC, I hope Bud doesn't go back to fighting I don't give a dams and
these guys,
people from the corner of the world that we never heard about before. He needs to just make it, because he missed out on a lot of big money in the early part of his career.
Being as good as he is.
Right. He needs to make all the money that he missed out on in this last part of his career.
He is what he is this morning.
But knowing Bud, I can see Bud saying that he's going to retire.
Yeah.
I can see Bud saying, yeah, I'm done.
But he is, this morning, what he should have been at least for like the last 7 years.
He's a superstar.
Whereas like, we find like guys are like, like, wow, this guy is not only good, but this guy is, he stopped everybody at 147.
Bud could go to, forget, all right, because Charlo is tied up. I mean, but it doesn't have any belts involved, but it has some money in it. He could go get Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu in Australia.
Tszyu is a good fight. Except
for money.
But for money. But I would also want to make sure that Bud, just like this, if we want to say that, we know he's going to do it. Negotiate your percentage of the pie.
Yeah, for sure. Because he showed it. He was stubborn enough to make us wait this long.
To
make sure that he got what he wanted out of the fight, and he got it, man. Coin toss and all type of stuff. He got what he deserved.
Quick question, Derek James, the legit coach of the year, right? Legit. Mm-hmm. He's legit coach of the year, right? Your thoughts on Derek James?
Around the 6th, 7th, I thought he could have threw in the towel. But I think,
what about the adjustments?
There was none. I think Errol Spence wasn't, and even if he gave Errol Spence directions, because we didn't hear the corner what they were saying during the breaks between the rounds. I don't think Errol was sound enough to implement any game plan after that. He wasn't on his. He wasn't together.
Life works funny, right? Life works really funny. You responded to me and told me about Derek James, and the first thing to your mind is around 6, 7. He should have called it, right? Isn't it ironic that now in hindsight, when you look at Kenny Porter,
we talked about that.
When we looked at Kenny Porter, and he's like, "Listen, Sean, let's not go back in there. This is done." Mm-hmm. And we're killing Kenny. We're killing Kenny. Everybody killed, including Errol Spence. He was the first one. I'd fire my daddy and all this, right? Isn't it funny that how Kenny Porter is looking this morning? Like, listen, it's what he's turning into right now. You might not want to deal with that. Mm-hmm. Spence could have gotten really hurt last night.
Sean Porter took way less punishment Then Bud
And Kenny made sure of it.
Then Errol took last
And Kenny
night.
made sure. As soon as this was turning into something he didn't like, he stopped it. Kenny made sure of it.
Yeah, Spence took a.
What did Sean say? What did Sean say last night? You said you saw someone Sean tweeted last night, or something like I told you guys, or something like that.
No, that wasn't me.
Oh, it was Sean. Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't me. But
I would like to hear Sean. I would like to hear Sean and Kenny this morning.
No, I wasn't saying Sean tweeted it. I'm saying Sean is sitting there like. Y'all see? Yeah, y'all see what I was seeing. You see what? Yeah, like Sean wasn't complaining about his pops throwing in the towel because he felt that what Errol was going through for the last 3-4 rounds.
They hugged it out and they started dancing in the corner like you safe, you good? Yeah, you all right?
Yeah. So, hey man, good night of boxing. We got some big fights coming up still. 2023 to me is the best year of boxing in my whole life.
Yep. And then Haney and Regis. It's only getting better.
Yeah, it's only getting better. So
we gotta talk about Haney, man. We gotta talk about Haney, man.
Yeah.
But we're not doing it on this show.
All right, man. It's SparCenter, man. Morning after, beautiful night of boxing. Thanks for checking us out.
Great show.